This is Chris Kies for Premier Guitar. Today we're hanging out at the Ryman Auditorium on President's Day. We are with Chris Traynor of Bush. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing really good. How are y'all doing?
Real good, man. Let's talk guitars. Let's go through the lineup here. What are you using and how are you using it? And tell us about tuning, strings, all that thing.
Okay, so I got a couple of different guitars in this set because we got a lot more tunings on these last couple of records.
Okay.
This first one that's hanging here is just a Blacktop baritone that I bought for $400 off Reverb or something like that back when they weren't popular. And I use that. That's a B2B tuning. I don't know what pickup's in it, but it's one of those guitars that you just buy and they sound great, and I love it. And it just shows that you can build a really good playing, inexpensive guitar.
Just right off the rack, too. So you needed the baritone beforehand, or you were like, I want to mess around with baritone to cover the material?
Honestly, because I'm a bigger guy, I've always been gravitated towards baritones because they feel more comfortable to me. So like the fact that it's a long scale length and a heavier string like feels really good to me.
All right, let's move along down the line here. See what else you're using.
So this is my main drop D guitar. If I had two of them, they'd be my main everything guitar. This is a 2017 or 18 Gibson custom shop reissue of a 1968 Les Paul Custom. This I use 10 to 54s on.
All right.
So it's like a broken set. I used to use 10 to 52s, but then the lower string started to feel loose for me.
Mm-hmm.
I have the Fishman Fluence pickups in here, the Javier Reyes ones.
Oh, wow.
I tried a bunch of different Fluence pickups. I've wanted to use them for a while. I switched over to them because when the Kingdom record came out, we were doing a lot of like live streams, and I was really close to lights. So, and the facilities were like, people had put up a bunch of facilities like quickly to do that kind of stuff because of the COVID rules.
Yeah.
And my pickups were getting like messed with because of the light walls. So I switched to the Fishmans to be able to have like a silent pickup situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried all of them. They're all really cool, but these are I think it's because Javier is like more from a classical background. These are clearer. They have like less distortion. So when I run these into my Fractal, I'm basically getting like a purer sound. I don't really I know some people want their pickups to add distortion.
Yeah. And
that can be cool, and I have guitars that have those characteristics, but these kind of like give you what you're putting into them, and they're really pure and clean.
And I'm sure that maybe the instrument even spoke in a different way, having what was in there beforehand into the Fishmans in there, I'm sure gave it a different voice.
Yeah, that guitar has, now it's rumored that in '68 some of and I know that this is true because I know people that have them, that some of the customs were all mahogany. They didn't have a maple cap. And I think this one does too. It's the lightest Les Paul I've ever owned.
Oh, wow.
And it's really great sounding.
Killer.
This next guitar is my main standard tuning guitar, which I use for the classic Bush stuff. This is like I think this is a 2014 custom shop. It's one of the first ones that I ever saw that had this metal plate on the back. And this is a really amazing guitar, and normally I wouldn't have messed with it, but I had such good luck with those Fishmans that I put them in here. And it's a really kind of big sound. You can get like a single coil sound out of them, and it's got this, I don't know what it actually does, but it changes the kind of range of the bottom end with this switch, which I really like.
Like different voicings.
And a good friend of mine that used to live in my loft in Brooklyn made this Strat for me, which has my my pit bull who passed away last year at Christmas on it, Django. Oh. And so I just keep my dog with me wherever I go.
We saw that earlier, and we're like, the first thing we saw wasn't the guitar, we saw the dog strap, and we're like, we're all dog guys here on the Rig Rundown, so.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, dogs rule.
Django must have been a good friend.
He was amazing, and they kind of leave a hole that never gets filled up.
For sure.
in your life. So, but I love him, and he's with me every night. This is a guitar I play on Heavy as the Ocean. It's a Fender custom shop baritone, and I liked this one so much when they asked me if I wanted any other guitars. I told them I'd pay them to make me basically a baritone that looked like Keith Richards' guitar.
Yeah.
And this has a stacked humbucker in it. And this is a really, even though it's a stacked humbucker, and I always find this with stacked humbuckers, they still have a single coil quality to them. They're not as fat,
Yeah.
but it really works for this song. This is tuned C to C for a song, first song off the newest record called Heavy as the Ocean. And this strap is a strap my friend Tori at Red Monkey made to look like Dwayne Allman's strap with that buckle on it. So this is a really cool guitar. It's very light for a baritone.
Oh yeah.
And it's got a really good feel to it. This is a killer guitar.
Between the strap and, you know, the obvious nod to Keith, it's got two big thumbprints of historical guitar players all over with the strap and the Tele.
Yeah. It's a killer. I like Teles and Les Paul. Those were the, you know, some of the first production model guitars, and those guys got it right the first time around.
Yeah, they stuck around, didn't they, the designs?
This is not a guitar that I haven't been playing on tour, but this is my favorite guitar in the world. This is a 63 SG Jr. And this has an incredible neck on it. And I'm actually going to send this back to Gibson with Cesar this evening. And what's cool about it is it was sitting on the wall up at True Tone for a long time. It was super expensive because
just teasing you.
Well, it has none of the real parts. It doesn't have the real tuners. It's not the real pickup. It's not the real bridge. And somebody had done a lot of work to it to like make it good, and they hated it, and I loved it. But they had it priced as if it was all original, and this guitar just kills. It's totally quiet, and it's rare to find like a vintage. This isn't a vintage P90 actually. The guy that made this, I reached out to him because I like this guitar so much, and he said that this is wired backwards, so that it's like a reverse polarity on it. And I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I don't question it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to change it. And if you could see, like, if we say that some of the sanding isn't complete on this guitar, like here, see how it's all squared off?
Yeah.
And I like to think that this guitar was finished late on a Friday when some guy wanted to get home and just have get his beers. But this is an incredible guitar, and it's just lucky. I found a lot of luck with the player guitars. You know, they seem to. I like the Misfits. You know.
What do you said it's your favorite guitar? What is it about it? Is it the sound, the feel? I mean, obviously the neck is a. If you're getting a copy by Gibson,
it's a killer neck.
That says something.
You know, the thing about P90s is it's no bullshit.
You can't hide.
So, you know, like you got it, and like you got to get it out of the guitar. And I like that. When we did like the 25th anniversary of 16 Stone, most of those songs, every one of those songs was in E. So I would just play that guitar the whole set. And there's just something about like, this is what you have, having to get it done with a guitar like that. So I don't know, I just like juniors. It's just like, it's you. And if you're not like, juniors are kind of like horses. I'm into horses lately.
Yeah.
So like, you know, it's always you, not the horse. And if you can't get something out of the guitar, it's you. It's not the guitar, you know. This is... okay, so this is a pretty cool guitar. This is my neighbor's stepbrother passed away, and he had a huge guitar collection, which I helped him sell. And he had all these guitars that were worth money, and then this one, which I bought for my daughter because I thought it was a really cool SG, and she just didn't gravitate towards it. She plays guitars. I have a bunch of guitars in the house, and she plays them, but she never gravitated towards it. So I was like, I'm taking this guitar on tour.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about it. I think it's from the 90s. I don't know what pickup is in it. Steve from VHT said, if you have something good, don't mess around with it.
Yeah.
So I don't even look at what's in this guitar. But it sounds really good, and it's a beefy guitar.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's fancy or expensive. I just think it's a 90s USA made Gibson SG, and it's a killer guitar.
One of those special ones.
And this last one, I'm giving away all my cheap secrets here. This is a killer guitar. I don't even know if they make it anymore or what series it is, but it's a Squier Jazzmaster baritone with a bridge that looks like I invented it. And I have no idea what it is about this guitar, but this sounds incredible. And a lot of the Squier stuff, like I have a Jazzmasters Squier Jazzmaster.
Great signature.
A lot of that stuff, like, really works. And again, like, it's nice to have nice guitars that are well built and, you know, have a nitro finish and stuff like that. But also, you can get a guitar that's like $300-400, and it sounds great. And so I just love having the ability to have all these guitars like lying around.
Yeah.
My rig.
Clearly not a snob to have a Squier and then a custom shop Teles and Les Pauls. So
I try to balance it out.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't want anybody to think
You're
I'm
grounded.
too bougie, you know. But and then this is my rig. I used to have last time I did a rig rundown with you guys, I had a very complex rig, which sounded amazing, but was complex. And
you had amps and everything.
when you're playing, we do a lot of different size venues on a lot of different tours. So we can go someplace where we're playing like Rock am Ring, where it's like a stadium.
Yeah.
To hear, or like going somewhere to do like a special show that's like a club show. So I needed to eliminate variables in my rig. Like that rig sounded great, but with a revolving door of techs and the way the business is now, I wanted everything that I had to be like mobile and replaceable. So I'm just basically on the Axif X3.
Okay.
I gave this sound away to Fractal so you can look online and get the sound that I do and have the sounds that I have. I know a lot of people have like different sounds for every song and different whatever.
Yep.
I have one sound. My scene is set up like a pedal board, and I use the guitars to change the tone.
Huh.
So all my guitars have the same output. This has the same output, and I use one sound. I'm actually lying. For the Kingdom, I have a whammy setup that goes to, a whole step. So I have a different patch for that, but it's the same sound with a different whammy pedal. And then I have this switcher, which I'm told you have to have, and Whirlwind was kind enough to make it for me years ago, but I asked them to make mine the amateur model because I thought professional was super snobby. Like I'm gonna have something that other people can't get.
Yeah.
So now I have an amateur model thing that you can't get. And then this is the switcher. And that's it. I have a super simple rig. I use these Matrix power amps, which I've just been told you can't get anymore. And I have a Mesa Boogie white cabinets on stage.
412.
Cesar pulled in big for me because they didn't want to make them. And then he made a phone call, and I got all white cabs.
It's good to have friends.
Well, it's also like if you play, like Zach's going to come in here, and when you're playing festivals with my friends that are in bigger bands than we're at, and you're playing during the daylight, and you don't have lights, the white cabinets really look good for photographs, don't they?
They look good anyway.
They look
I'm out
good.
to buy.
So anyway, that's it. It's a simple rig. Every one of these guitars, with the exception of the 63 SG, anyone can buy. You can get this guitar really cheap unless I just blew the price right up. And my rig and my sound are available. And one of the things that I'm into is that, like, I think guitar, especially now in the modern age, when you can go on Instagram and see all these people like shredding in gamer chairs and doing all this stuff, it can be it can be intimidating. But the thing is that, like, anyone can do this. Anyone can make music.
Yeah.
Anyone can play music, and the key is to be yourself and to have fun. And so if starting out with my guitar sound is a good, gate for you, unless you think I'm trash, which, you might be right in some levels, you can get my sound, and you can get one of these guitars, like you can get one of these Gibsons. You could just buy one, and or a new Junior, which is fine for like $800.
Yeah.
And just make music and have fun doing it. I think people forget about, like, guitar is like, smoke on the water, like a kid going like, like music is supposed to make people feel like they can be involved in it, not like they can't obtain it in any way.
2 real quick questions, because I know we're holding things up, Chris, but I appreciate your time. you have kind of one core sound. Do you know, like, amp-wise, what kind of amp you're, like, is it a, I know that you had dual Rex before, you had that EL34 Marshall power amp. Do you know what amp is centered around your core tone inside the...
I gave up on it because...
But it's online.
It's online, but the other thing is that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, I grew up playing JMPs, and most people aren't in a space where they can play 100-watt full stack, you know, and I don't think it matters. Like, and the reason why people use those amps is because that was what's available. But, like, using what's available to you and finding a sound that's available to you, like, you're never going to get, I don't care what anybody says, you can make it close, but you're never going to get anything that models a real good AC30. Because it just does something that, like, no other amps do. But also, who cares? Like, Brian May made his own guitar, and he made a whole band around it. Like, you don't need that stuff to be in a band and make good music. So I don't know what it is. You could look it up, but it doesn't matter.
You're really undercutting our profession of what we do for a living, is because gear is supposed to matter.
Oh, then it really does.
One last thing, and we'll get out of here, I promise, is can you show off the guitar that has, like, 3 frets? Your tech was showing us beforehand.
Oh, yeah. I don't know where that is.
Oh, shoot.
Zach's coming back in.
Oh, yeah.
Why do I know so much about this more?
Zach, are you teching, bud?
Once a tech, always a tech.
So
I haven't been one in 20 years.
on More Than Machines, there was a couple of different, that song had a couple of different iterations and a bunch of different overdubs. And I never, when I'm recording, I never do it, like, based on the guitar or a tuning or what something has to be. Like, I think of the part and then I do it. So we got these parts from Fender, and Luis, who was originally my tech but now works for Corey because he's cooler or something, built this guitar for me. This is like a old Lawler low whine pickup I had lying around. These are 2 parts ordered off Fender. Luis, like, shaved this down. It has a light on it that when you turn it on and off, it makes, like, fun stuff. And then this is like a Deco Boom pickguard, I guess. But again, this is just a
3 frets.
It's a parts guitar. It's 3 frets. And the reason why I did it is because fretless can be challenging in different environments.
Yeah.
You know? So what I did was, at least I know this is tuned B to B. At least when I start out and I hit the B, I know I can know what I can base the rest of the pitch off of. So, but as far as I know, it's the only 3-fretted guitar. I know Scott Ian did a guitar that, when I was a kid, that stopped at the 12th fret. But I'm just taking it a little bit further than him. He's a little bit older than me, and I'm just, like, you know, continuing the trail.
Yeah.
I'm joking. He lives in my neighborhood. I'm joking.
Well, Chris, I really appreciate the time. I know this has been a kind of a rushed one with everything that's crammed into a pre-show day here at the Ryman, but thank you guys, and we're going to go check out Gavin's gear.
All right.
Thanks
a lot, man. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, we are stage left now, checking out Gavin Rossdale's gear. Recognize this beautiful face, Trace Davis, who was on the Smashing Pumpkins rig rundown with Jeff.
Yes.
Yes, and also a man behind the man behind Voodoo Amps. So all your amp services and mods needed, this is the guy to look forward to. Which ironically, these guys don't have amps, so it makes your job a lot easier.
Not this time, not this time around.
But let's dive right into these guitars.
Sure.
What are you looking at right here?
This is the main Strat, which is obviously a Fender Strat, made in the USA. Pretty heavy, actually. It's almost Les Paul heavy.
Wow.
Which is unusual. Pickups are actually stock, and this is a Shawbucker.
Okay.
The Shawbucker 1, specifically. And there is a coil tap here, not that we really use it, but it's more used in the studio.
Okay.
Primarily on this particular guitar, we're living on just on the bridge.
Yeah.
You know, doing it that way. Rosewood, maple neck, the usual, alder, but it's heavy. Like I said, heavier than most Strats I've come across.
I know over the 30 years or so that he's been with Bush and being the front man and the face of the band, he's played a lot of different guitars, but I've associated him with the Strat style and even more recently with just the single humbucker. So to see the 3 pickup configuration is
yeah, you know, well, we've switched away from they started on amps, of course, then went to the Axe FX 2 for a little while. Then last summer, right before I came out and did a run with them, they went over to the FM9.
Yeah.
So the Fractal FM9. And as we were in production rehearsals this time, we just ended up, changing some tones around, and this ended up sounding a lot chunkier, little more heft on the low end for sure compared to the single ones. But we do have a backup single one, which I can, meaning a single pickup. I can show you real quick.
Yeah. Now I wonder. I'm sure there's a lot of theories on why that would be. It could just be the heavy wood that you said, but a lot of people do have a theory that the extra pickups do something to the single pickup in the bridge. I don't know schematics and electronics, but yeah.
It's magnets, right?
Yeah.
So you have an electromagnetic field. And so that's, without getting too geeky here, all right, or too crazy. So yeah, that's a thing. They do affect one another when you've got multiple pickups. And so some people like it like this. The 80s got like the 80s guys, remember that? The hot rodded Strats?
Yep.
So this is a Shabbat made in California. We just got this for the tour.
Looks brand new.
It's pretty new. It's a little relic. I mean, as far as that goes, which was done at the factory.
Yeah.
But with that being said, we had a PAF style in here, and Gavin likes a little bit more oomph, a little bit more output. So right now, this is a Piedmont pickup. Charles Piedmont makes these. They're really nice. He's wound coils for a lot of well-known boutique pickup guys. We'll leave it at that. not for me to reveal, but this one's called an Undertow, which is really good. I actually really, really like it. And it's a little more similar now in tone, not the same, different mid-range, but similar to the number one. So. Okay. And yes, he is using some beefy strings, which we'll get to as well.
Yeah, well, you bring it up. Let's touch on that right now. What strings are you guys using? Or is he using?
We are using, believe it or not, right here.
Oh, 11.
So 11 to 54, and these we're all in standard tuning. So it's standard tuning right now. So it's a big beefy set, and it's a little challenging for me to bend the strings, quite frankly. So yes, and after that.
So what's next?
We have. This would be the next main one, we're going to call it, when he switches over to an SG.
All right.
So this is from the custom shop. Beautiful SG. The pickups, everything right now is stock. I've just rewired some of the grounding scheme and so forth. But aside from that, it's fundamentally stock. This is a drop C. And so we have a couple songs he's playing guitar on where it requires that.
And that'd probably be maybe more the newer material. I know they kind of dropped the tunings.
It's the newer material, correct. Yep, some of the stuff off the last couple records, actually. This sounds fantastic. It's great sounding SG. And we also do the little, I don't know if you can tell it here, we've got some glow. Got a little glow tape, when it's dark on stage.
Cheat sheet.
Yep, just so you can see. And it's happened to me when I played live. All of a sudden the lights go out, you're like, oh my God, where am I at?
Going
so
back
it makes
to,
it easier.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all.
I was going to say, going back to that, just to keep everyone on track on the same page, did you do anything to the pots or just rewired it to make it more stable?
Just rewired it, shortened wires. There's two ways you can do grounding. So I don't prefer the mechanical way of doing it where you put the ground tab to the back of the pot. It's fine, it works, it's great, it's faster to manufacture, but you can do a star grounding and it's a lot quieter, it feels a little bit better. The harmonics are cooler, in my humble opinion. Anyone watching this, I'm sure this will be a huge debate, so I'm not going to get into that. That's just my thing. Me personally, I think it sounds better. It's a little quieter. So that, just stuff, stuff like that. It's not again, still sounds great, stock for that matter in this case. But this one, we have a backup SG.
Okay.
That's similar, very similar, same year, same custom shop, just different color. Came relic like this, and same pickup, same everything. It's set. That one just sounds a lot better.
Wow.
Noticeably better. But a great guitar. Really wonderful sound. Feels great, sounds great. Again, drop C as far as the tuning. And yeah. So then we can switch over to the other ones.
Yeah, let's see some of those offsets. Got some, looks like Jazzmasters.
Yes. This one's been around with him for a while. So this is standard tuning. And he does use this up here, so when you flick the switch up, it's just, this volume and tone. And this is bypassed and down, this is bypassed, and these are active.
All right.
And so this is, this goes back a little ways. Anyway, as far as age, I couldn't tell you the exact year because when I came in, I sort of inherited, what's here, so to speak.
Yeah.
So the vault, the rig, and whatnot. So I don't know a ton of specifics, but I'll give you as much as I can.
Dish.
Yes, but great sounding guitar. He uses this on Glycerine and Come Down.
All right.
Which is really, like I said, I'm surprised. These are Lawler P90s.
Okay.
He has in there, so those were switched out at some point prior to myself. And yeah, killer guitar. Sounds awesome. He uses a lot for the feedback parts at the end of the show.
All right. I know that there's a cool story that he somehow acquired Joe Walsh's Jazzmaster from Hotel California recordings. So yeah, the connection
That's the neck
there. Okay.
on
really?
this one. Yeah.
Is that 66
That's
neck?
my understanding, yes.
All right.
So this is equal, again, same pickups, same everything, wired exactly the same. It's just that one sounds a little bit more to his liking, if that makes sense, tonally. But they're very similar in tone, ironically. But yeah, this is the neck, is my understanding that
From
he
that
acquired
66.
From that. Yeah.
Huh.
Yep. So they sound great. Great sounding guitars. And he mainly just uses 3, the main Strat, main SG, and the Jazzmaster. And he's playing, I think, on 9 songs on this tour. So.
And for tunings on the Jazzmasters, which one is there? Which one
Standard.
are you using?
Everything is standard with the exception of the SG.
And the
That's the
SGs.
only one that's dropped C.
Okay.
Yep. And so there's that. And the only other thing, let's see, that we're using here, we do have the Accent Shure wireless. So
Okay.
we're all wireless on this end. Actually, same on all the way around for everybody. And I do have a couple pedals here that we utilize. There's a gate pedal. And it's only, so basically we come out of the wireless into these 2 pedals. And sometimes when he's singing, you know, doing the crowd thing, he'll take his hands off and gets the crowd singing. So I'll hit that just so the strings aren't, you know,
Rattling.
making noise. That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
Other than that, that's it. I just have we've got an so the Octonaut, which is very cool. Kind of a clone, basically, but his own version. And I use that sometimes along with the Beano boost, depending on the venue and whatnot. There's some parts throughout the show where he'll go up to the cabs, which are live, to get feedback, you know, control feedback and whatnot. And so depending on the room, one of those will work better than another sometimes, you know, so I just go between them, but that's all I use them for. Other than that, it's all the tones that were programmed on the FM9.
Is it the pedal before the FM9 or the FM9 in with?
This goes out of the wireless straight into these 2, then we go out to the FM9
Okay.
out on stage out there, which we can take a look at.
And what can you tell me about this? I know that this was a thing that was on your last rig rundown with Jeff and the Smashing Pumpkins.
We can't make any noise here until around 4 p.m.
Yeah.
So we're before that, so I still have some things to hook up. This is the Retrospect is the company. It's a juice box. It has it's a tube DI technically with 12X7 and a 12BH7. And it's just nice to come out of a digital modeling amp, or even if you, like cab simulators especially, and come into here. It just feels like when you're playing, that chunkiness or that, you know, different peaks and valleys that we're used to on tube amps, it gives you that back.
sag.
It also sounds nicer and sweeter to the ear, in my opinion. You know, some of the highs that digital replicates that aren't necessarily in a tube amp, you know, when you're playing, it does that beautiful thing where it rolls off some of that. You have a nice harmonic distortion. And again, the low end just feels more correct to me. So, you know, that's where that would come into play.
It's interesting because I know that you're hedging your bets with putting your opinion out there as gospel. But
it's not gospel. It's just my
but I'm
opinion.
saying like you're being very careful in that to not do that. But
Yes.
you are an amp guy with your amp history, and both Jeff and Gavin are using digital gear. So for you to have things that bring into the equation that elevate that sound, you know kind of what the FM9 or the Axe FX or Kemper is trying to get to because you're an amp guy. So you can almost kind of see either the pitfalls or the potholes and then fill it in with stuff like this.
You know, digital modeling is not going to go away.
No.
I'm fully aware of that. And I'm fine with it. It doesn't bother me in the least. Some guys are going to be purists and stay with the tubes, and other guys aren't. You know what I mean? Tube amps, that is. But again, if you can make something that is digital, it's getting better and better, you know, each rev, you know what I mean, every time they put it out. But if we can make it sound and feel a little more tube-like, you know what I mean, like you're playing on a tube amp, then it's sort of the best of all worlds.
Yeah.
At least that's how I look at it personally. So my own opinion.
I guess the better way to summarize what I was trying to say is that you are an amp guy, but you're overseeing digital rigs. So if you can like facilitate that or make it closer to what they're trying to get, you're the the wizard of that. So
I'm just one guy that's obsessed with tone. I don't know if I'm a wizard of anything, but
well, we move forward. What is actually going on with the FM9? So they got rid of the X effect, like rack.
The XFX 2, yes, is now not in play, but the FM9, so it's all in one, like you have it right in front of you.
Out on the floorboard.
Yeah, right on the floorboard, which he does, and he changes the patches. So essentially, we'll take a Strat and we'll create basically a clean, a medium, and a high gain tone.
Patches around that.
And then there's a couple lead tones, you know what I mean? One that has delay, one that doesn't. Maybe it's Electric Mistress or something like that, which even though it's labeled that way, is more of a phaser in this case that we're using there. And then we'll do the same with the SG. We'll go back through and have those same type of patches, specifically dialed in for that guitar. And same with the Jazzmaster. So really, there's clean, medium gain, and then high gain. And then you got 2 lead patches to choose from, depending on the song, basically. And really, that's it. It's not very complicated as far as that goes. I mean, some guys have tons and tons of sounds.
Yeah.
I don't really have any visibility on Chris's stuff. You know what I mean? Which you'll get to before or after this, however you're going to do the segment.
Yeah.
But he's got all kinds of cool stuff going on, for sure. And he's like a master of tone anyway. So he's a great player, great guy. So.
And I'll ask you, knowing that this isn't a decision that you can make or have any sway on, but I know during the last recording of the record, Gavin almost used exclusively building the sounds through around the quad cortex, the neural DSP thing. Do you know if there's any plans for them to shift to that in the future, being that he works so closely with that?
I don't.
Based on your knowledge,
I don't want to speak for him because I haven't.
But you haven't heard anything like that
with him. What I can tell you is right now for this tour, and I believe for the next, the rest of this year, we'll call it.
Okay.
That they'll be sticking with the FM9s. That's my understanding.
Got
of
it.
Now, again, if that changes, which is entirely possible, that could or couldn't, I don't know.
I'm putting you on the spot in several spots here.
Sorry.
I'm trying to pin you down.
It's all good.
Well, Trace, thank you so much. It's always great seeing you.
It's a pleasure to see you as always.
Everyone, stay safe out there. Keep rocking and keep checking out our gear.
Thank you.